All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, 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 welcome. We're gonna play the concession.
Something today that her opponent did not do 4 years ago when he lost, and she is laying out what will happen in the days ahead.
We will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
The vice president accepting the will of voters who rejected her candidacy. She is committing to a peaceful transfer of power while repeating a campaign message.
We owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States.
So I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president.
Overnight, before the race was officially called, President-elect Donald Trump declared victory with his family at his side.
We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country.
Trump's historic political comeback came with gains in nearly every demographic group, winning key battleground states that Harris hoped could push her campaign to victory.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright.
Now, President Biden also called the president-elect to congratulate him today. Biden invited Trump to the White House to discuss the upcoming transition. Live in the newsroom, John Atwater, WCVB News Center 5.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about a subject to think you're right, but not enough about the subject to know you're wrong. There's like a gazillion hours of me on the internet. In almost every case, I'm talking about the universe, black holes, the Big Bang, time travel, God. But what I'm going to do in this masterclass is teach you how to think. The goal here is to train your mind how to see the world differently, how to question what others say. I've come to realize that there are three categories.
All right, so man, America. Wait, is America going? All right, there you go. All right, America, how you holding up?
Emeka asleep or what? Emeka, beside you come and do. You blood. Victor. Is he still there?
Yeah, Emeka, what's going on? Emeka, see your sound. Man, this man.
Jessica.
Yeah, not Jessica.
Okay, that email I sent you, go there and see if you accept it or something. As admin for my StreamYard, or add me to your own, so that I can have access to the videos and post it. I feel like I don't know, something must have. I went to the site and it's not showing anything.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
I met this guy today from California, and he was schooling me on Afrobeat, the history of Afrobeat and high life. Can you believe that?
Okay. Like what's he saying?
I think there are two different. When we say Afrobeat, there are two different types. It's Afrobeat, and then there's Afrobeats with a Z. The Afrobeat is the original high life from the Fellas and the King Sunny days to Ibo Taylor, and then the Afro Beats is a more electronic version where you see the likes of Burna Boy, Wizkid, all of these young cats.
Oh. When did they make the differentiation?
Well, you see, obviously, you know that it's not us that make these differentiations. We are simply passengers on the boat of our own story.
Okay. Oh, I really don't know what else. I think I can probably add a channel to Uni.
So it
No.
says add members, and then if I add you, and I sent it to yarojs@gmail, and then okay, it looks like you're. Let's see, admin.
Oh, okay.
So once I have you admin or you have me as admin, we can kind of play around with. I can have access to the videos, see them, and see if I can upload them and play around with them a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. What am I doing? So I think I've done the ad.
Or maybe just say go to your on your dashboard of StreamYard, right?
Yeah.
When you go to members, what do you see?
Oh. Oh, I have to pay more money to be able to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
For you to be able to add me?
Yeah, it's not I'm not paying the premium.
Yeah, neither am I, but I can add you. It's saying add member, and I added you, and it says yours is pending. So I can add one person you can invite one member.
Wait. This is you open an account?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's why I'm like, I'm now I'm getting it. Because I'm kind of confused. I'm like, So joyful stickers. I think this is it. So I think I'm in your account, you know.
Yeah, then I'll add me to yours. Do you understand? That way we can.
Destination. Library.
So now you're here. So
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see. But you can only add one person, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I have my sister in it.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, I see now. But except if I add plan, you're on what? On the free version?
Yeah, I just need one person. I just need to have access to the video so I can.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the core thing. I think it's the advanced one. That's when you can add multiple people.
But that's the one I have the basic one. Oh, the multiple people. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
$35 a month, man.
35?
Yeah, $35.99.
Okay. How come yours is
call.
okay? I was like, hey, I'm getting ready. I just start screaming right now. Like, what? I mean, different prices. Yeah. Well, not even Bible study the sooner on the other one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, those are good too. When I sent you the other video, were you able to get them?
I didn't get it on streaming. I got it on a different. It was just a link that led to a video.
But it was a complete one.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Maybe if you can send it to me and I can add it to my library.
Yeah.
Or it's just recordings that will show here. We'll see.
Yeah. I would let me. I'll figure it out. Then it's like I have two accounts on this stream, so
Oh, okay.
it's kind of. But yeah, I will do that. So, all right. Bobby's on his way, so.
Oh, okay.
He's on his way.
Emeka, did you just,
Oh, God,
can you hear me?
Emeka,
Waiting the audio.
I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you.
You just wake up from sleep now, been waiting. Why your face straight
No,
like
I
that?
just like that here. They watch Miami Heat.
No let Trump election weigh you down now.
They bother me like that too, because for my head, I think Harris no been get better plan for these guys for us or anything. So I just was torn between both of them. I don't know it was not a better choice, but it was just somebody that, according to Trump, when he been there, power, he policies, some of them were screwed, but some of them, the economy was not this bad. But the economy something just the same worldwide something.
Yeah, and a worldwide economic problem with the face. So. But
yeah,
I mean,
saying now one person now go call fix something. But now he still use win. Because most people now the economy now make them vote.
Yeah. I will also add, I'm like, which proposal will he suggest we go help improve economy? He just they do anything we come ahead. And that is the part.
Now the thing be that,
if the guy come up with like, okay, I would do this and to help this in this way, I can fall behind that. But it's none of that. It's just a lot of empty promises, if I might say. But I mean, it's all said and done now. President is not affect anybody in any way besides the larger picture. Our day-to-day know they change, but the large picture, obviously, there might be a few changes here and there. Yeah. And it's obviously it's our job to analyze the big picture, but still focus on the day-to-day. So
because most people voted Harris out because of the economic structures and everything. And just, the hope say new person will cause new change. It's just like the same thing we see on like sports teams every day. Teams know they go fine, they go fire the manager. They go hire new person. So sometimes the new guy go bring about a positive change. Sometimes the new guy no go even change anything. The teams go just decide to go the way. And it will come look like saying do magic. So it's just what it is. People just want to be different.
We're getting a guy that has ruled before, and we know what he has done. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's not a complete. I mean, we can go back and forth with this stuff, but I just feel like the idea of a woman running for president in the US is not ready for a female president. I'll tell you that.
That is the same thing I said. Harris did not lose because of. It's just that the country is not ready to stand behind it.
The country is not ready for a female president. I mean, I made a comment to Jesse. It might sound a little bit bigoted now, but I will say it still. If the US did not vote a white woman in Hillary Clinton, there is no way.
Why would they get a black one?
Vote a black or Indian woman in as president of this country. It's not going to happen. So looking at that alone, that will tell you everything you need to know about the society as a whole. So, I mean, people should really just, it is what it is. keep pushing for the positive change that you want to see in the world. Don't let one single individual discourage you from that. Go out of your way to see the good in people, regardless of what their ideals might be or what they claim to stand for. Because a lot of times people speak from the place of ignorance rather than knowledge or wisdom. So I think I watched a segment of Jordan Klepper going to a Trump rally, and he took a Trump supporter to a Harris rally, and he asked him the question, "What do you think?" And he's like, "Well, it's all right." Well, he's like, everything that you heard about this woman, did she live up to her expectation, to your expectation? And he's like, yeah, absolutely, that she's nothing like the image that they portrayed about her. And I can probably say the same about Trump, right? Yeah, obviously we know who this guy is. I would say, not to mince my words, he's slightly ignorant of a lot of things. He's unfiltered, unfortunately for most filtered people. He's very, very uneducated, because an educated mind would not act the way he acts. But people love him for whatever reason. And
you say for whatever reason, most of the people that love him share the same viewpoint as him. People don't just back you because, like, we grew up on a certain, like, the same stuff, right? You will see why people follow a certain trend. Trump is he's a face to this trend that they believe in. So that if you see most of the states, it's not even looking at things. Places where we grew up. We grew up in North Dakota. We see the way things happen there. That is a small, like, number sets compared to what the country looks like. And it tells us how most of these people think. Yes, some of them ended up going to school, getting a degree, but that doesn't take them out of their mindset or their whole point of view.
So this is where the challenge lies. This is my question. This is where the challenge lies, I think, is that all the things that he's pointing out, did he create them himself, or did these things exist before? See, let's talk about illegal immigration, for example. I would argue that it's not better or worse than it was 10 years ago. It's the exact same thing. We can talk about the manufactured news that Fox News tends to put out there, with the caravan is approaching from Guatemala, a caravan is approaching from Colombia, and they go and look for stock images or stock footage of some individuals marching like the Walking Dead towards supposed border. I would argue that not much has changed in terms of immigration between 2010 and 2024. The same problem that riddled, yes, obviously the numbers have gone up for sure, but the same problems that riddled us in 2010 are the same problems that we're struggling with now. Illegal border crossings, right? We're struggling with how to legalize the 15 or 20 or 8 million or 11 million or 30 million, depending on who you ask and when you ask them, million illegals in the US. Huh? We can't agree on the number of where they are, when the IRS know clearly how many they are. So I think the first thing you will want to do here is to come to an honest agreement as to how we choose to define these people, what they contribute and what they take away from the society as a whole, and then what to do. If the country cannot come to any kind of agreement, every side will keep propagating their own version of how they want these people to appear. Democrats will tell you that these people are a net gain to the economy. They are a positive light, and they are human beings that are looking to better themselves. Republicans will tell you that these people are here to steal my job. They're here to take away from me. They're here to rob me, rape my children, and slaughter my family. So until we come to a consensus as to who these people are and what role they will or are playing in society, there's not going to be an agreement. That's why I keep saying not much has changed. I would even argue that the vitriol has increased significantly more than what it was 14 years ago. So this Trump winning the election now, I think, in my own opinion, is a scathing review as to who the American public, where the American public are emotionally, not mentally, emotionally and psychologically, for them to be able to fall to the praise of fear and fear mongering to this extent. Jesse, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I might
Okay.
break amazing. Yeah.
No. I was just your face is still. Victor,
Oh.
you're
Yeah.
eating something good, delicious over there.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Okay, you got it. Yeah. I'm making sure we're on track. So.
Yeah. Oh, we are. Don't worry, we are. But I
Okay.
mean, now the question that we have to ask each other and one another is not who you voted for or why you voted for that person, but where do you see this country in 10, 15 years? And I want to hear what Trump voters have to say about this, because I can probably guess what most Democrats will tell you. Democrats are very, they share the same vision, univision in a way of speaking. They want to see, they come up with some idealistic expectations, like, oh yeah, we want to see immigration reform passed, abortion rights need to be engraved in the Constitution. On the federal level, we need to see a lot of changes in the classification of drugs or whatever. So they'll give you the same stock answers. But it seems like Republicans tend to be much more honest than Democrats, in my own opinion, in terms of expressing how they truly see the country in a way of speaking. So I'm intrigued to hear what they have to say about where they see the country in the next 10, 15, 20 years, if not more. Because this demagoguery, look, every book from the Bible to every other book in the world, it says the same thing. Fear begat fear. Fear has never begat peace of mind or stability or improvement or progress. Fear is the mother and child of fear. So engaging in it now and reacting to it now is not going to make you less fearful in 10, 15 years. I would even argue that it will make you much more fearful, because like when you plant a seed in the soil, it germinates and then it grows into a blossoming tree. That tree could be a bunch of other negative emotional expressions that we don't really want to get into now. But I was just looking at the psychology of why we make certain decisions that we make as a group. Now, one might argue, oh, I'm a patriot, that's why I support this individual as opposed to the other individual. And then again, my question is, how do you define patriotism? How would you discern who a true patriot is to the other person? Would you say somebody that loves his country so much must storm the capital to go and exercise his own rights as a citizen? Is that patriotism? Is it just serving in the U.S. military that's patriotism? Do postal workers count? These are all rhetorical questions that I want people to ponder upon going forward. Do teachers count? Do individuals that work in non-governmental agencies count? Do restaurants count? At the restaurant, is a dishwasher at a restaurant patriotic in a certain way? Him going to work and paying taxes to the IRS that turns around and adds money to these other social welfare funds. Is that not patriotism in a way? So why would you take away someone else's patriotism from the other person? Because you feel like you did this and you feel like you've quantified it in your own way and you think it's worth more than the other person's version of patriotism. So the key here is being able to be honest. Have very respectable conversations with individuals that you differ from politically, socially, morally, intellectually, educationally. Hear what they have to say. And then don't judge, listen. They're two different things. You can listen just to judge, and you can listen just to listen. And I argue that listening just to listen would open you to some form of empathy. towards your neighbor. I've been rambling, but who else has anything else to say? All of you are muted, by the way.
Yeah. You can hear me now,
I
right?
guess Jess is the one
Yes.
muting me.
Yeah, because you're chewing. You're chewing and you're watching TV. So it's all in our ears and it's all in the recording. But yeah, I mean the most part, like this was a shock because this was an ass whooping. Like all the blue walls that were thinking all our predictions yesterday. Like
My God, were we wrong?
Even Nevada was like, I'm just like, it's all red. Everything, like, he even wants places that it doesn't even really count. Like, he went to 312. He went all the way to 312. So,
Has Nevada results been compiled into the Electoral College?
well, she did a concession speech already. So, I mean,
Yeah.
so
we're waiting on Nevada and Arizona right now, is what they're saying. So 11 plus 17. Yeah, 17 plus 295. Yeah, yes, you're absolutely spot on.
yeah, it was that's why it was a huge shock. And to be honest, I don't even know how we're going to rate this. And as you said, like, of course, we're not. America is not ready for a woman president, and I think this was like the chance. Hillary couldn't do it, and this is another because these are all career politicians, and this guy you consider him to be a rookie in it, but he gave a blueprint. Moving forward, now who is going to use the blueprint after his term is because at the point you think that if they lost this, Republican Party will almost be like this is like the the end of it. But now that he has won like this in this fashion, you'll be thinking of what other card does the Democrat have? Who will they have used? And to her own credit, she only had like 2 months to actually prepare for this race, actually, after Biden dropped out. So that's also, I mean, at this point, we can kind of slide that in as a little excuse. But for the majority people, she was a senator and she's the vice president. So it's not that she's not in the public figure; she's actually in the public limelight. But looking back at it, who else would they have picked to be able to do that's America, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to pose a question. Do you think Biden would have done better than she did?
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But the problem is,
They'll jab
so
him. They'll
all
jab
the
at old age and all that stuff. But
yes, exactly what I was going to say. So
ultimately,
all the news articles about the age did not really matter then. It was
yeah,
just nonsense, in a way of speaking.
yeah.
Because I feel like Biden could have easily picked up Nevada for sure, probably Philadelphia, and maybe Michigan, easily.
Yeah, Biden would definitely that blue wall. He would pick at least two. That's for sure.
And that would change the
That would,
dynamics of the situation right there.
yeah,
But I mean, we can only go into the retrospective right now after everything has been said and done. And when Biden was, I don't want to use the word dropped out. When he was forced out,
yeah.
I would say it was a huge relief for me as well too, because I actually agree. I mean, I don't think an 80-year-old should be guiding the country's future in any way or in any way, shape, or form. But at the same time, who else, like Jesse asked, who else would they have put out there? Because it seems to me like both parties have gone to the extremities. The right has gone extremely right, the left have gone extremely left. Now, any centrist becomes a closer to his worst idea on his side, on his own side. So if a Democrat chooses to align himself to a Republican ideal, he's viewed as a pseudo-Republican, and the same for a Republican as well. So the question is who? Now, I would say on the Republican side, I would have loved to see. Obviously, this Florida governor is a joke, Ron DeSantis. Ted Cruz is an even bigger joke. Marco Rubio is the biggest joke of all of them. So these are not candidates that I even want to talk about.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the former Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. I felt like he is somebody that could be reasoned with in a way. But he obviously put politics behind him. And then this guy that ran against Obama in 2012, what's his name? This guy from Utah.
Yeah, but is the Mormonism now. And
I mean, yeah. We have an irreligious. They just voted in an irreligious president right now. So Mormonism is a step up from that, I would say.
I don't know if you look at the history if you look at the history between the Mormons and the U.S. government, at first, they wanted to create their own state, which was covering Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, Colorado, some part of California. They were growing. They were covering all those land as their own, until the U.S. government had to come and step in and was like, okay, temper it down, and there was some massacre involved, and they had to like actually overthrow them. So even in the Washington State, though, and the monument, I think what was the state? They were called a different state until they broke them all apart, and Utah was formed and all this other stuff. So the U.S. government actually they have like a history with the Mormons. So I think with that saying, maybe that would not work out in the long run. And they were even booing him. I don't know if you saw it.
I mean, but he did win the Republican nomination. I would argue that if Obama wasn't running against him, he would have probably won any other candidate. Mitt Romney would have probably won any other candidate as a Republican.
Yeah.
He got 65 million, 60 plus million votes.
Actually, to be honest, yeah.
I mean, somebody made a comment that I was listening to earlier in the week. She said the Republicans can field a potato to run for president, and it will still be competitive because they vote in a certain way. Obviously, there are a lot of Democrats that vote in a certain way as well. But I would argue that a good chunk of Democrats look at the candidate, and these are one of the reasons why Kamala lost, because she lost a lot of the young men votes.
But across the board, I don't think she's very clear and precise, because you don't really know where she's standing. I feel she tried to please everybody in every group.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear where she stands, but she there's a lot of flip-flopping back and forth on changes on where she stood and where she didn't stand before. Like for fracking, for example, the reason why I'm saying this is because I've heard a lot of people talk about, oh, I don't think I know where she stands. But if you look at her website, you will see everything that she stands for. It lists everything clearly, as opposed to Trump.
When I'm talking about that, is like when being asked direct questions. When she's supposed to actually hammer on it, she goes all around it. That's what I'm saying. If you watch her,
oh yeah, no, you're absolutely spot on.
You won't really get away with any meaningful thing to like, okay, I know where she really stands. But if they ask her, what are you going to do with the economy? Well, well, she would go on and beat all around the bush and be like, okay, these are all like good saying. I mean, like a real politician. She's a career politician. I mean,
So she's a prosecutor, right?
yeah.
She's
So
always playing defensive as a prosecutor for the most part. The reason why I'm saying this is because I want to move people away from that idea of not knowing what she stands for. It's clearly listed. It's clearly stated somewhere. But like
yeah,
Jesse said, she's not very convincing when she answers the questions. And I absolutely get that. Because she's not entirely convinced in what she's saying, the listeners can pick up on that. Her convictions are
I'll
not
tell
there.
Trump promised to build a wall the first time. He was there for 4 years. Did he do it? He didn't. But he still comes back with the same promise, and people are still following him. So where they stand or not knowing what they stand for, it's not something like people who actually voted on the basis.
yeah,
People
it's
did
not
not vote
convincing.
Kamala Harris. One, we can say because she was a woman, and it was not an accepted view by many people. Two, because she is black. Yes, we already have that, but we already have this point we can go on. We live in a society where it is, regardless of what you still try to do or try to hide it, there's still some form of segregation and like place values on a certain kind of people. There's some things they don't believe that a certain set of people should be able to achieve. So
Yeah,
where she
you're
stands, even
absolutely
if she
right.
came today and told you she would give every American $1 million, I promise you she would not have still won it. Just because of that view that this is not what you're supposed to be doing.
Most
They don't
likely,
say it
yes.
anymore as loud radio and TV stations. See it on a day-to-day basis. A woman is still getting paid less than a dude is, regardless of if she does the same job. They still consider to do a certain thing.
Back to your point, Victor. The difference in my own opinion between Trump and Kamala Harris is that she's more educated, therefore more aware than he is. She's more knowledgeable than him. She feels like if she makes a promise, she would have to stand by it.
She has to keep it.
Exactly. He
But
doesn't.
Trump
He
don't
doesn't
care
have
about
that
those
burden.
things.
He doesn't have that burden. Look, Trump can say the most outlandish things with the most conviction, and that is the problem. America has voted in Americans love salespeople. That's why they exist to this extent in this country. Every successful businessman in this country is a great salesperson. And Mr. Donald Trump is is in the top 1% of salespeople in this country. I'll tell you that. Because he would sell nothing to you for the most price. And he has done that.
So, in simple terms, Donald Trump is an Igbo man. He will sell crutches to somebody.
Yes, I would probably say that. He is.
That's the exact thing he's doing to America. He's selling them a wheelchair when they have perfect legs.
So let's take this example of this border reform bill that was put out there a few months ago. I asked senators not to vote on, so that he can campaign on the same fear-mongering that I would say won him the election. So you're not looking for the solution then, because the solution has been presented to you, or at least a version of it, and you don't want that. But what bothers me the most is that his supporters cannot see through all of this. They only like to feel good about their convictions, right? They don't care about the solutions in a way. They care about extreme solutions that don't really matter. Oh yeah, let's deport 13 million. How are you going to deport 11 million people? Let's start with how do you imagine to deport 11 million people in your mind? What holding facilities do you have?
Economy. You know the cost of doing that alone.
Let us not even go to the economy. Let us stay in the logistics. Economy is a different conversation. Let us stay in the logistics. The US has the highest number of incarcerated people in the world. How many people are incarcerated in this country? You know that there are prisons everywhere.
Yep.
Let's look it up. So there are prisons everywhere in the US, and the US is approximately incarcerating 2+ million people, and charging the government $700. Is it a day or per person? Something crazy. Now let's talk about incarcerating 11 million people. Obviously, yes, you're going to say you won't do it at once. Even if we do it in 40 batches. 40 batches. That is what, a couple of millions every batch. How
you have to build a few more prison cells to hold those people. That's
exactly. Or you have to convert other facilities to holding cells. So you have to spend money
to actually
do
those things.
Exactly. Logistically, it's not possible. And that is the part that I struggle with, because we can talk about the economic aspect later. Because obviously it's difficult for you to paint a picture ideologically for these people to see. But logistically, you can actually point at examples and say, okay, this is not possible. We don't have the means to do this. We're not willing, nobody's willing to do this. What airline would you use? You have to pay that airline, and they have to fly, they have to make multiple flights a day for almost a year for that to happen. To different parts of the country.
Where are you going to drop the people off? Where, even if you're taking them back
different parts of the world, and then probably fly back, and probably fly back empty. So you're going to spend money on aviation for a two-way trip, for a one-way journey. So it doesn't make sense logistically. Now, if we go into the economics of it, it's like it's taking money away from a stack that already has less money. It doesn't make any sense. It's people are coming from a place of anger and hatred, because this man chose to campaign on this issue. He could have campaigned on anything else.
Like, let's use the same policy. It's the same policies that's been run in most African countries. I'll give you electricity. But the president gets in there and he chooses not to do that. Because the moment he does that, he takes away their only bargaining chip. So this immigration stuff is only going to keep getting worse, so that they can always keep saying they have something they want to do for their people. And so that people can still have this basis to say, oh, this is why we need him in office. We need to fix immigration. We need to fix it. But you know it's not getting fixed. It's just the talk. They talk the talk. But the work is not going to happen.
Don't these people get tired of hearing the same things all over again? If I hear something once, twice, the third time I would want to hear solutions. Okay,
because you are a logical human being. You're a person that has reasoning. Most of these people are ignorant. It's just ignorance being fueled by ignorance. They know that this is not possible. You sat down here and did the math in your head, and it did not give you a possible answer. But most of these people have not even sat down to do that. They just assume, oh, because this man said he's going to do it, then let him do it. They don't try to find visibility or possibilities in all those things they're thinking.
But man, there's a lot to impact. I don't know what, because people that are saying they're voting for economic reasons, and if you logically try to break that down, then you're voting against your own interests at the end of the day.
Yes.
This still doesn't make sense. So, and you be like, okay, and then you meet people that are voting for religious reasons, and then you follow all that rabbit hole, and you be like, wait a minute, this is hypocritical, at best. Seriously, sometimes it's just hard to wrap your head around what would be the logical reason for, people are like, oh yeah, he gave the checks, and you'd be like, yeah, why was the government willing to give you a check in the first place? What took place?
Well, those checks came from Congress. They didn't come from him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like if you keep following all those crumbs and all those things, and you be like, wait, this
And
make
let me
sense.
sorry
But
to even interrupt you, Jesse, but I like where you're going with this. Please continue. But let me just chip in this. Out of $5+ trillion, the American people and every other person got what, $2,400, right?
yeah, it's about Is it 24? Yeah, well, right. Or it's
What was
15.
it? I can't remember.
I think it's
So
15.
$1,200 twice, right?
Yeah, $1,200. Yeah,
So 2,400 per person times
yeah.
300 million is what?
Yeah, I don't know the math, man. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't add up to 5 trillion.
No, it doesn't.
There's no amount of mathing that you need. So that is my point. And I would argue that we are paying for that $2,400 in this inflation right
Yep. That's the part, and that's why people don't get that part. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna pay for it one way or the other.
now.
It's
This is
good.
it.
It's good to show up.
So
So
now we're
It's
paying
not just
tens of
that. You
thousands.
realize that most people did not go back to work after that money. The shortage of
$2,400.
workers and all these things brought about all this stronghold on companies not being able to produce anything was actually as a result of that money. Because some people started looking at it that, hey, if I'm getting $600 every month for not working, why would I go spend time at work when I can just claim that money from the government? So it did not do any good in the long run. And if they was disbursed $5 trillion, if you give $1,200 to everybody, that comes up close to $3 billion. So what happened to the rest money?
That was only a fraction, a very small fraction of that money. But we're paying the huge price now for all that sum. The COVID relief bills, the two that were passed, 3 point something trillion, and then about 2.8 trillion the next one, or maybe the reverse. I have the numbers backwards. So that's what we're paying for in inflation. So we can talk about this all we want and say it's Democrats that are causing inflation. But what bothers me is the idea that people cannot analyze. This is your own society. You are from here. You're born here. The least you can do is understand the economics of your own environment, of your communities, impact of economic policy. But I guess maybe it's not for everybody. So the price of goods and services now are there because of the supply chain crisis or shortages, or whatever term you want to use. And everything is trying to get back to a different place. And then guess what? Corporations are trying to maximize on profits right now. Biden talked about this when he was running his campaign on trying to pass this bill that he had about shrinkflation. The quality and quantity of these goods have gone down, but the prices have either gone up or stayed the same. Say, look at bottled water, for example. Very rarely would you buy a pack of bottled water and the bottled waters can stand individually on their own. So we're using cheaper plastic. I don't know if this plastic is even FDA or USDA approved. But we're using cheaper plastic now to hold this water. We can talk about the bags of chips that have shrunk. We can talk about the sizes of this.
shrinkflation, that's what it's called, right?
That's exactly right. We can talk about the sizes of all of this tissue paper and other household things, where the prices have held steady, but the quality or quantity has dropped. Yes. So corporations are maximizing this opportunity to increase their profit. And what I expected from the American people was to vote somebody in that was willing to hold these corporations to a standard. Like, all right, look, we're not going to take all of this nonsense from you guys anymore. We're getting this for this value. Now we are getting that for this value? Explain yourselves to us. And the what's the name of this lady? I think it's FITC. It's a federal bureau that is tasked with holding these institutions again that violate monopoly laws. And they've taken Amazon to court about 20+ times, active pending lawsuits on trying to monopolize different sectors. So let's talk about Amazon, for example. You have a product that you want to sell on Amazon. Amazon is supposed to be a marketplace, right? Not just a supplier. So what they do is you go there and you list your product on there. And if they see that your product takes off in terms of demand, they go and find a way to mass produce your own product and put it on their website for cheaper, thereby kicking you out of the market completely. That is monopoly. So all of these things, I expected individuals to kind of like, all right, this is what we want from a leader. But we still continue to remain in the ratchet form of democracy. I'm tired of talking, people.
No. I understand, but yeah, I mean, it's to be able to express ourselves and see what will be the at least now we can have a break from all these ads, right? And solicitations and stuff. And have you seen
the thing that pains me the most with those things is in the next 4 years after he's done whatever he comes into office to do, and when he doesn't succeed, because me saying if is just being stupid, when he doesn't succeed, the whole rhetoric will be, oh, he came in and met an economy that was crumbling. As if he doesn't know right now that the state of the economy. He has promised to fix it, but we know he's not going to achieve that. Not because we don't want him to, but because of the way things are. It's going to take him about a whole year or two before his Republican Party and the Democratic Party gets to agree on a certain thing. They will keep going back and forth. And with the way he is, he's just going to try to bully everybody to do what he wants. And these guys will not let that happen. So 2 years of this time in office will be wasted.
Pulled off all around the country. He did over 900 and something rallies. I mean, that, it's talking about, to an extent, what I admire about him to an extent is that resilience, and people talking crap about him keep pushing it. He was pushing
Jesse,
that needle. I don't understand.
If you're flying with other people's money, you will fly as much as you want.
No, I'm just saying.
He did not do all these trips with his own money. This was some paid for trip.
He showed up for those rallies, even though he was just standing and dancing. That's the aspect that I'm like, man, okay, that was something. If we want to take away anything good out of this, or something to because
we all,
to an extent,
we
it doesn't
go to our jobs on daily basis.
Who you are. What? Because it's hard.
We all go to our jobs on daily basis. Spend about 8 to 10 hours sometimes on shift.
No. Did you hear where I'm coming from? What? What'd you say?
I said we all here go to our jobs on daily basis. We spend about 8 to 10 hours and get paid peanuts. And this man is getting paid millions of dollars to fly around.
And you have been paid millions of dollars, and sometimes you won't show up. That's what I'm saying. You won't show up. If you have been paid millions of dollars, you won't show up. Will you do 900 and something rallies all around the country? That is guts. That's tenacity. Every station is dragging you. Is dragging your name. All these comedians dragged his name. But he still went. He still showed up. He showed up for people. He showed up in different communities that you would think it doesn't have any bearing. He convinced all the church, the Protestant leadership, He went to the mosques, even with the Islamic brotherhood. He was able to convince that community. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about, like, if there's something, is that resilience. It doesn't matter whatever, because to an extent, looking at through the lens of this machine, he has no bearing. This race should not be closed. That's what I'm taking from it. This race should not be closed, looking through the machine that's been created. And when I'm talking about machine, I'm talking about all these platforms that are there, the gatekeepers. Because Kamala pulled out the big guns. She had all the biggest celebrities. She had those approvals. She had ex-presidents. She had all these endorsements all lined up. So looking at it through that lens of those machines, this race, the best it should be is a close race. Not this kind of wipe. Look at the result, bro. So that's me trying to, like, look at it like, okay, if I'm going to apply anything or take anything out of this, it's like, if you have a vision or you have a mission, push. No matter if the whole world is crumbling, show up. No matter what, drag yourself. You showed up in some of these political parties just dancing, playing music. That's it. You rumble. He was tired. He did over 900 rallies. That's what, that's a lot. So based on that aspect, I was like, okay, maybe that he reached other communities that did not have a voice. So probably this is the result of it. I don't know. One day we're gonna make sense of all this. I know it's not from now. It's just from the heat of the moment. But he won in a very huge, fashionable manner that is undeniable. That's it. Now, way forward, what are we going to look at? How, what comes next? Are all those things going to be implemented? Can he implement them? Of course not. But it looks like he's going to have the House and he's going to have the Senate. So now, yeah. So probably a big chunk of it might be applied. Because remember, his first time he got all the judges that he needed. And to an extent, if he didn't win this, there's very huge likelihood you end up in the prison or some kind of house arrest based on all those other stuff. So that's another thing. But this guy pulled it off. He pulled it off. And you know what they say about the Department of Justice and all these other departments? They serve at the feet of the president. So is he able to pardon himself? If there's a way, I think he's going to do that too.
So you asked the question in the beginning. You said he showed up to 900 rallies and all that.
Yeah.
And now you're actually answering the reason why he would do that. Because he wasn't just fighting for the seat of president. He was fighting for his own freedom. And the last thing you ever want to do is get into a fight with a man who's fighting for his freedom.
Yeah.
He pulled it
So
off,
he
man.
had more to lose. He did not run for America. He ran for himself. And not just running for himself. He ran against a baby. Kamala Harris might have been a politician and everything, but she had too many things against her. Too many things.
Like what?
She's been a seat. You asking that question? I'm gonna put it out right there. She's black. She's a woman.
I mean, of course, race play a part in it, but she's the vice president.
The race.
She's the vice president. Mecca is. I'm not trying to diminish what she has done or try to minimize it. I'm just saying from this other angle, like, yeah, if there's anything to take from it, is when you have, if you can take anything from this, is Just have resilience. Just show up for yourself and fight for what you believe in, even if the world is crumbling down around you, even if nobody believes in you. You know,
I
this
second you to
is
that.
a testament. Like I can't think of any other example because I'm telling you, when these machines on you, it's hard for you to breathe. But this guy pulled it off. That's all I can say. This race is not close at all. Look at the whole map; it's all red. How can you explain that? The people showed up to vote. There were more, and he did better in every aspect. He did better with men. He did better with colored men. He did better with Asian men. He did better with the Muslim Brotherhood. These are things that you don't even think about. But he did better with it. His numbers were better. He did better with so his numbers. He did better than what he did the last time he ran.
But
So he just
that is simply because of who he's running against this time, I think. Because you talk about men mostly. I mean, even young men rallied behind him because most men cannot comprehend the idea of a woman leading them. And this is a different conversation for a different day. But
Exactly.
both of you are absolutely right. I think both of you are absolutely exactly right. It's just there's a lot of overlap in what both of you are saying. Yes, you can draw positives from his tenacity, but at the same time, you can see the source of his tenacity. If they tell you
Exactly.
to run a campaign and avoid jail time, you put all you have into it, obviously. And that is the reality of everything. But at the same time, you can still draw positives from a 78-year-old running 900 plus campaigns over a two-year span. That is remarkable. I probably cannot do that right now, and I'm less than half his age. So yes, both of you are absolutely spot on. But you don't look at it as a disagreement. I think you guys are looking at it from two different angles. But the
oh
main point is the exact same. The idea that the Muslim men thing came from the Palestine and Israeli situation.
how did he pull that off?
Obviously, when you ask Trump to explain what he's going to do, he cannot offer you a tangible explanation. He will just tell you, I will get it done. And then the Ukrainian-Russian situation is there too. These are all, what the results that we're seeing today are 4 years of mishaps of this administration. So this entire pullout from Afghanistan that Biden did, that was really haphazard at best, we're paying for it right now. The Israeli-Palestinian situation, this is the consequence of that. The effect of not passing, holding on the immigration bill, the border patrol bill, this is a consequence of that. So look, this man, he is an evil genius in his own way. I use the word genius very, very loosely here, leaning more on the evil more. But there is some form of tact in what he's doing, in what he did to win this election. Because in the grand scheme of things, nobody really cares about the details. They only care about how you make them feel. And I've realized that interacting with people as much recently. If you explain to them why you do what you do to create an emotional reaction to why you do what you do, they won't appreciate it as much as you just cutting the corners and getting to making them feel good about what they are or what they believe in and who they are and how they view the world. So he was able to accomplish that because she's pushing a boulder up the hill, whereas he's kicking down a rock from uphill. He's a man, he's a white man, he's a billionaire, he's accomplished, he has a beautiful wife. These are things that a lot of men envy or look forward to accomplishing. So he is already a what's the word I'm looking for? An image that they want to be represented by. Now, Kamala is a black woman of Indian descent, a prosecutor that doesn't have a very good record with black men in California because of her track record with giving black men lengthy sentences and everything. There's a whole story in that regard.
Yeah, but I think is not entirely true because she wasn't really involved with that. I saw an article about that.
As a prosecutor, yes, she was. As a prosecutor, she was. She brought a lot of cases and gave a lot of. Yeah, I use that word loosely, but a lot of African American men got maximum sentences where they could have gotten by with minimum.
Yeah, but she wasn't involved in it.
How can she not be involved when she's a prosecutor of California State?
Yeah, I saw a whole article. I mean, they covered it. It's misrepresentation of it because she worked in a whole entirely different department. She wasn't actually involved in the sentencing or all that stuff.
She is the Attorney General. All of these sentences come through her. She sees them.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll send you the link because
she doesn't have to be in the courtroom for these sentences to get through. All they, as the DA, district attorney or the Attorney General of the state, they cut you a deal, right? And they tell you, hey, this is what we're going to give you because of this, and we come to an agreement. So we avoid court cases, lengthy court cases.
Yeah. Every docket goes through the district attorney. Every docket,
yes,
regardless of what the case is. Sometimes because they call you from home, you don't have to show up.
It's not. I don't think it's a misrepresentation to that extent. No. Obviously, yes, we can argue about the extent.
When they looked into it, she wasn't actually involved.
I don't think that is possible for her not to be involved as a DA of California. But I get what you're saying. She might not have directly been involved in it, but in my own mind or understanding, I believe that a lot of these sentences, she would have put eyes to them, or somebody in her office would have put eyes on them. And if I come to an office and I tell you, look, I want to be very fair to a group that has been persecuted, for example, a group that I identify with or identify as, if something comes to that court, to that group, to that office, they will definitely not act the way they did. If there was an empathy, I don't want to go into that, but I'm just pointing this out as some of the obstacles that she faced in this campaign. She had a very limited time, 3 months. Some might argue that it is good. I would argue that it probably is bad because people always come to the conclusion that they didn't get to hear what she had to say about a lot of issues, which you hear a lot. We don't know what she stood for or whatever.
I would promise you that even if she's been campaigning for 2 years, Trump would have needed just a day to show up and still win.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is...
Jesse, it's like me trying to run against Usain Bolt and say I want to go practice for 6 years. He will still just go to sleep and beat me the next day. This is what this election looked like. It was not fair. So, like, we thinking that the red covering everything, it was from the start. He was going to blow her away, regardless of what she did. She was put in a dire situation, a situation where she couldn't win. So she got lucky that, yes, her name got put out there. But it's a situation where they were not planning for her to win from the start. It was just a no-no situation for her. Trump would have won regardless of 2 rallies, 900 rallies, regardless of what he did, he would have won.
Man. You know, that's why Biden stepped down. When Biden stepped down, what did the polls say? What did the polls say? What did the machine say?
Are those polls ever correct since Hillary Clinton?
Exactly.
Based on the machine. That's what I'm saying. They trusted on the machine. Same with Hillary.
She did more campaigning in 3 months than Hillary did in 2 years.
Exactly. Still lost.
When you say the machine, I don't know what you mean by that.
That's why I keep explaining. When I say the machine is, I mean the media, all this media platforms, not just media, but all the platforms that is available. And that's why I'm talking about. She put up all the celebrities. She got all the endorsements from the right candidates, from the right people. She got endorsements from Republicans. She got endorsements from people that have worked with him in the White House, and she got endorsements from military 4-star generals. And she's a vice president, current vice president serving at this point. So, like, all those platforms were there, and they have to look at through it to give her that endorsement for her to move on with the democratic thing. So that's what I mean by the machine. And if you look at the other platforms, the poll, I mean, at this point, I don't know if we should keep using the polls, because the polls have failed multiple times. But the poll worked during Biden regime, though, when Biden jumped in. But it failed during Hillary. Hillary still won the popular vote. I think Hillary did much better than what she did. But I mean, I'm not disregarding other factors, and I'm not trying to play the devil's advocate. I'm just trying to highlight some stuff that has been in play, and what we can actually look at and say, okay, this, when she started running, because Biden, remember when Biden was running, he was making all those gaffes, and the polls were showing that he was losing. They were making jokes about his age. He can't stand. He did the first debate. Remember, he did the debate, and Democrats had a meeting, and it's like, yeah, this is flawed. He's not going to win. Another thing, I think, looking back at it, Biden would have done better. I think Biden would have even won. But we can't really say. That's me just thinking out of.
I don't really think Biden would have won, because he is an uphill battle for him right now. I would even argue that Kamala, part of the reason why Kamala did not do better than what she did, not win, is because she's within this administration.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Biden threw her a button out of range.
Yes, absolutely. This is a monkey wrench situation for her. I mean, if she were an external,
she didn't connect with people. That's it.
No, that is definitely a factor too. She definitely did not connect with people. But that is not just what it is. It's a bunch of other things. If she was outside of this administration, she probably would have done better in like a place like Pennsylvania, for example, with 500,000 Palestinians living there. So I mean, these are things. When they asked the administration to comment on the Israeli-Palestinian situation, war, crisis, they all refused to comment. Do you want a ceasefire, or do you want Israel to keep doing what they're doing? There was a no comment situation over there. And then now we're being critical. This is my problem. This is my issue with our conversation. We're being critical to somebody that actually expresses herself. This other individual that did not give you any ideas on how he's going to accomplish anything. But nobody is being critical of how. Okay, explain to us, Mr. Trump, how you're going to accomplish all of these promises. There's nothing. We just hear, I'll get it done. Don't worry. Just sit down there. I will take care of business. Big Daddy is in the house.
That's the mystery of it.
Now, every woman has had to go through this same experience that we're talking about now, both at the workplace or in the community. Yes, she has to be the most perfect version of herself to be considered an amazing person. Whereas the man can just show up with clothes and he's set. You just, like a woman raises the family, takes care of the kids, takes the kids to school, cooks food, does all of this stuff. And then one mishap, oh my God, she's falling apart. But this guy just shows up for dinner, asks the kids, how was school today? Did you do your homework? Hey, darling, how are you? He got Daddy of the Year award. This is the problem. The obstacles the hurdles the women have to overcome are much more significant than those men have to overcome. And this is the reality of what we've seen here yesterday. Now, did it help that people couldn't connect with her because obviously she doesn't have a likable spirit in a way? Yes, it didn't help. Did it help that, no, it didn't help, sorry. Did it help that she's part of this administration? No, it definitely did not help. But these are all microcosms of factors that played in what we saw. And that's why I keep saying both of you are absolutely right.
But so do you think, because you have to remember she ran for presidency against Biden. So do you think if she wasn't in the administration, she'll be picked for this position?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But this is the reason. Let me say something, Jesse. The only reason why she's in this position now is because she ran for president against Biden. And the only reason why she's in this position now is because she gave Biden the toughest time in the primaries, Democratic primaries. She asked him a couple of questions that he could not answer. And then she said she started to steal some of his following.
But I think there's other factors too added to that.
There are other factors. She's a career prosecutor. She's very well accomplished in her field. She knows how to carry herself. She has a decent family background.
To unify the country some way, somehow. So,
but we should not forget the fact that he brought her on at a time as his vice president when momentum was shifting from Biden to her. So we can't write anything off. I mean, if you want to ask a question now, Emeka, let me ask this to you: who do you think Democrats can put up there as a viable choice for president in this country?
That's the thing. There was no. I don't think there was a better option.
Because if there was, they would have gone with it. Kamala was not their first choice.
No,
Kamala was not their first choice.
But that's what I'm saying. I think the Democrats were willing to concede the election, but they were doing it in a disguise. Because if they had to go find somebody else, it would have cost them more to actually do the work and put in the time. But putting Kamala there gives them a way to escape. It gives them an excuse to run away from. They will say at least they put up something. But they knew she was losing from the day they made her that choice. They knew she was going to lose.
Who knew? The Democrats?
Yes, they knew that.
No.
They knew she was going to lose.
To be honest, I think if I was thinking based on speech and based on the reaction that, on rallies and stuff, to an extent, I think Michelle Obama would have done better, but she's not a politician. And she's a decent person, so she wouldn't run it. But I think if she stepped into that role, I think she would have done better. That's just. I think
she would have actually done worse because she's carrying the Obama name. And
exactly. That's the reason something Jess is failing to understand.
The reason why Trump is president. The reason why Trump is president right now is simply a backlash to Obama's 8 years. I'll tell you that over. Trump would have never had the chance if Obama did not exist in this country. This is how I look at it.
No. You ask the question, who will you think will feel?
No. I'm not disagreeing.
And based on, and the reason why I'm saying it is based on her speeches, based on that unification that she is doing. That effect, I think, is very contagious. Me, I'm just thinking outside the box. I think she would have done better, but will she do it? Definitely not, because of the kind of person she is.
Jesse,
and you are.
I am going to tell you, Michelle would not have done better. She looks like Harris. I have a daughter. I believe in woman rights. I believe everybody should be accounted for by just. Everybody should be based on their standard. But I promise you, Jesse, this country someday will come to that point.
The reason why she will not do it because she's not. Is because of her own credentials. She was not a politician, so she's not going to do it. This is the kind of
That's
people
what
they
I'm
are.
saying.
They're very decent
Even
people and
if she
very
was a politician,
people.
she
But
would not
if
have
she
done better
was
than
a
Kamala.
politician, she will be in the perfect position to actually pull that off. She'll be able
No,
to
she
do it.
wouldn't.
Her husband ran for 2 years. He did it for 2 years. I think she'll be able to do it. You ask the question, who you did not give anybody, throw somebody in the hat, throw a name in there. Yeah, you throw a name in there. Who do you think
I
will
don't know
do it?
most of these guys, but I don't
Exactly.
think any, like, if a woman was gonna do it, she had to come out in a different color.
The reason we see Hillary had the same problem. She was not connecting with people.
And not
Is
just
that
that, she had a Bill Clinton trouble too. So
no,
most of
she
these
had
women were not like,
that's for fact. But is that connection, is that resonation, is not resonating with people a lot. I'm just saying across the board. It's
Trump
not
has had
because
so many troubles in his own personal life with
it's
his
different.
ex-wives and all those things, right? But none of them is being brought up when he comes to contest.
Jesse,
Everything
let
looks
me
like
ask
a
you.
clean slate.
Let me ask you a question, Jesse.
Yeah.
Why is Trump connecting with people more than Hillary or Kamala Harris?
I don't think so. With Kamala, I'll highlight this fact. If you hear her speeches and her campaign, it's always like, I'm better than him. And I think that was one thing that I picked up, because I'm like, yeah, you should run on what you want to do and where you stand. So he was not connecting. But with Trump, I think he's connecting with the ruler America more. Like, is that bold, brash. That's what Americans always been about.
You see, this is sorry.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, so I don't think he really connected with people, but I think he raised a lot of problems, and he gave absolute definite answers on what he's going to do, even though it will be hard for him to accomplish all those things, all those promises. But he made those bold statements about this, which America is all about, that bold statement, that brash statement. That's what I think happened in this. But to an extent, I don't know fully well what has happened in this thing.
He didn't give definite answers on what's going to. He just told you he's going to do them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's going to.
Those are not definite answers. Look, let's talk about this. Look,
if you're an American about geography, well, they won't give you. They don't know it, but they're very bold about it.
Yeah, that is different from what you're. That is different from definite answers.
So that's what I'm
answers is actually intricate understanding of the subject matter and then going into the details. Look, let me drop that. My point is this:
Americans. Americans. No, wait. Let me say this: when you meet Americans and they don't know about stuff, they just give you answers without having to explain anything.
They don't know it,
but they're very bold about it, and I think that's what he represents to most people. And that's why
let's drop that. The second one is this. If you said, I agree with you when you say Kamala was campaigning against Trump, but Trump did the same thing, but he wasn't campaigning against an individual, he was campaigning against the Democratic Party. So it's the same strategy. How different is that? Oh, this party, they are evil, they want to destroy America, we want a different America, we have to keep power away from them. How do you differentiate these two messages? They're the same message, but targeting two different people. That is my point. That's why when I say it's all because of race and sexuality, for the most part. And then secondary, she's part of this administration. Because if you put a man that ran on Democratic message, he'll probably do better than Kamala. I don't know about Michelle Obama, not because she's probably the most articulate person that has the best spirit in this United States. But because she's carrying that name Obama, she was married to Barack Obama. That might be a hindrance for a lot of people.
It might be a hindrance, and it might be a reason. So,
sure.
Sure. So
I'm not disputing that. I'm just telling you my own possibility of what I think might be. Because I don't see Trump as existing in this country if Obama wasn't president for 8 years, he would not win an election here, because that Trump's presidency, Trump's 2016 win seemed to be an autocorrection from Obama's 8 years. They were like, oh my God, we fell for this bullshit. Let's go back. Let's take things back to the way it was. And what did he say? Make America great again. That means it had fallen from its glory. What glory did it fall from? The glory of having a black president. So when you pick up on this small messaging, you get to understand how people are viewing it. They might not put words to these things, but this is how they tend to view it. And then you start to see a lot of racial expressions in his campaigns, kicking black people out. And then this is 2015, 2016. And then now 2020, black people, oh, my African American friend, my African American, we need to bring back the black collar, the black jobs. What the fuck is black jobs? And then they are black jobs. And I didn't know this until I talked to actually an African American woman. They are black jobs. And so he's talking to a real problem. But it's not coming from an honest place. It's not coming from a place of care or love.
But you see, you've highlighted it, but he was able to identify, because it just resonated with people.
He said identifying it because it's an ignorant expression. Nobody that is educated or wise will tell you, let's bring back black jobs. Nobody will do that. That's stupid. But he's almost as if his ignorance made him win. This is how I look at it.
That's exactly what Jess is telling us. People did not connect with Camilla because she's coming from a point of understanding. Camilla is a very educated person, so she spoke about understanding things that most Americans who, if they don't sit down or get that stuff.
This clear. Don't put me in the box. No, I have to make it clear to you. I'm looking at the results. Look at the results. Now you try to explain what just happened. You look at the results.
That's what I think from the start.
You cannot ignore.
Trump won this election.
Vote, people
started getting hungry, right? Americans are getting hungry. And right now, they just want something else. They just want something else. And Kamala is a part of the hunger right now. That is why they're trying to get away from it. Everybody, or most people who voted, are not voting based on policy. Alcott said Trump won because of people trying to get away from Obama then. And that's the same thing right now. People are trying to get some sort of avoidance of what the situation is right now.
That's your explanation.
Trump is going to find them a way out.
Man, I think it's more than just that. I just think it's more than just that.
Why?
The result is overwhelming. The result is too overwhelming for us to just ignore and narrow it down to just that. It's too overwhelming. Like there's so much in play. People voted for so many different reasons. That's why I said if you follow each reason, at the end of it, it doesn't really make sense.
Not according to Fox or CNN. CNN and Fox stated that there were two basic reasons why people voted more in this election. They said, number one, economies. The economy is the reason why most people swung their way towards Trump. Nobody was even thinking about their rhetorics. Nobody was considering what they were saying. They just wanted a better economy. And they think the old regime is not doing it. So let's see if the new guy can do something else. Two,
the new guy?
That overborderiness.
Wait,
they want things to go back to what it used to be.
Guy. You said the new guy will do it.
Yes, he's still the new old guy. He's new to the policy, but he's still the old guy.
What do you mean new? He just ran the country a couple of years ago. What are you talking about, new guy? This is not
new now, right?
This is not new fresh blood. This is the same guy that has been running campaigns since when he was in office, since when he was about to go out.
You and I know that he's the same guy.
Almost a decade. Do you understand that?
You and I know that it's the same guy that ran those things.
He ran a campaign for almost a decade. So don't say he's a new guy. He was a new guy in 2015.
Right? He's been doing this before.
He's not.
But these
What?
people want a new face. He's a
What
old
do you
face,
mean new
or he's
face?
a familiar
He's still
old
not a
face.
new face. What are you talking about? He's not a
Okay,
new
Jesse.
face.
You're not
No,
getting what I'm saying.
No, I understand where you're coming from, but those phrases, you can't say a new guy, a new face, because this is the same person. If you want to, we've tested the presidency, we've seen it. We've seen COVID. It ran to the ground. But what happened? What happened after that? People like that's why I say each reason you meet people that voted for him, take each reason. You can go to the tail end of it and say this does not make sense. But it still happened. Why? This is a mystery that is good in the coming years. That's
It's
when
not,
we're
it's not a
going to
mystery,
find out.
Jesse. It's not a mystery as much as you think it is. We all know why these people voted him. Let me paint a scenario for you. If Trump were any other race, do you think he would win the election saying what he's saying?
No. Hell no.
Then we know the reason why he. What are we talking about here?
I'm not. See, you guys, I think you're misunderstanding my point. I'm just highlighting the obvious. Yeah, I'm highlighting the obvious factors that's happened. That has taken place. I'm just highlighting the obvious factors that's taking place. I'm trying to take my emotions out of this and actually look at it logically, because I said you can take each point on why people did what they did, and you still not get a reasonable answer to it. But it still happened. Yeah, it still happened.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. It's something we cannot ignore. So what really took place? Yeah, is America ready for a woman president? Probably not. And they tried it once, they tried it again. Is it going to happen in the future? Only time is going to tell. Because
let me pose a question. Is America ready for another black president? Sorry to cut you short.
Shit. We did not in this climate.
Definitely not. Definitely not in this climate.
Definitely not in this climate. You cannot explain this thing that has just happened. And my own thing again, if I logically look at how he ran it, this guy did it for a decade. All the establishment shut him out. Everybody shut him out. He just got free press, but the press were bad press, most of it.
But any press is good press, eh? So, but go ahead.
No, most of it is they were just dragging him. They dragged him. They dragged his kids. They did all that. They dragged his wife. All that stuff was going on, but this guy kept pushing. He kept pushing. He kept showing up.
He was able to.
If I'm just saying, if I was in his shoe, it would be hard for me to keep showing up.
Absolutely.
It will be hard for you to keep showing up if you're not the one orchestrating all that.
What?
I could bet you that this man has been an entertainer from the start. He orchestrated some of this press against himself to put himself in this situation. Absolutely. He knew that there was nothing good about himself. So the only way to make everybody think, hey, he was better, is actually by painting that bad picture of himself.
It was premeditated. You're saying this.
So? Yes,
no, I think so too.
He doesn't like. Wait, this guy doesn't like his name being dragged like that.
Who told you that?
Who told you that? Yeah, he does.
He doesn't.
He hasn't given you
every time.
He hasn't given you any point to think that he doesn't like
the comedians.
He has given us. He has not given you any reason to believe. He has not given me any reason to believe otherwise.
He's trying to shut the comedians. He's trying to shut news channels. He only shows up to only one news.
Because that's what a bully does. A bully does not care that you say you call him a bully. He just doesn't want you to say
it's not premeditated. I don't think
it is.
He wanted his name to be
you have seen people who stab their own self just to claim that they got hurt, so that they can feel like they have the same pain as you do.
I'm just,
if he didn't want it shown, right? There are things that he would not say. There are things that he has said that to show you that, hey, He doesn't care what you think about him. He already knows who he is. And sometimes he wants you to see him in that picture because he knows you're never going to see him in a different light. You be like giving him this benefit of a doubt that he doesn't, makes me think that he actually got to you.
Who? Emeka, that's why I said,
yes,
me.
He finally got to convince a lot of people by doing that.
I've already removed my emotional emotional sticker to this. Look,
you think you took your emotions away. That's the thing.
No.
One thing about emotions is once you're plugged into something, it is hard to unplug it.
What? What do you mean?
Donald Trump. If you listen to Fox, right, which is actually his own station, I could claim that he owns a share in that station. Okay. They were still one of the people propagating whatever indecency or crazy speeches that he must be making. They didn't try to cover it up. They didn't try to paint it any right. They just tried to tell you that the other news stations were saying it's different from what it is.
They're detrimental to him, his family, and his campaign. But he still pulled it off.
How much publicity that got him?
He still pulled it off. Despite all that.
There's this saying that if most people are against you, right, sometimes you might be doing something right. That is actually the point he bought into. He made the people think that everybody was against him, even though he was the one sending that message.
Jesse, when you keep saying he pulled it off, are you suggesting that the end justifies the means?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what has happened at this point. Hey, hello? Can you guys hear me? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think Jesse is really not really entirely sure where he stands with this. He's going back and forth with trying to say the guy did a good job in running 900 campaigns, and then obviously he won for a reason. And then me and Jesse had this conversation about the role of God in the human affairs, right? He says Jesse believes that if somebody wins, then that is the will of God, right? And I would argue that not necessarily all the time.
Not all the time.
You guys, it's not that I'm not.
When Saul became the king of Israel, that was not the will of God.
Let me clarify this. It's not that I'm not sure of where I'm standing or what I believe in. No, I'm just reading the result. I'm just reading what has happened. And that's why I'm not trying to put emotional. Kamala is a career politician. I believe she will run the country better. The morality and all that standard she'll continue building. All that stuff. Yeah, but put that aside. What has just happened right now is something that we cannot ignore. And if you want to. There's no any objectivity. I mean, you said about the will of God. Yeah, there's the will of God because politics is something that is God's business. It's something that that is put in place, is a system put in place for people, for God's children to be taken care of. Nobody can do an ultimate. You can't please everybody. That's for sure. Human beings are complicated, and our problems are far complex. For one person to actually write a policy that will solve all problems in all categories, that is never going to happen anywhere. It has never happened, and it's not going to happen. But the major thing that's happened here, if we're looking at it based on the result and based on what the country has spoken, this is a lot of people, both in popular votes and in the electoral college. This guy pulled it off. And
Jesse,
he's saying that he ran those campaigns.
Is it possible for a lot of people to be wrong at a certain time?
Of course, definitely.
Exactly. So you be saying that he pulled it off. He did not win because he got anything to do. He won because people just can't take it anymore for what is happening right now.
Emeka, but you can't just say that.
I can because
I'll grant you that.
If you call 20 people that voted him, they will tell you They didn't vote him because he was a better
Don't
choice.
feel like
They
I'm
voted him because he was different.
So now you feel like I'm supporting him?
Yes.
What? You feel like I'm supporting him? No.
Yes.
I'm just saying what has happened. Take your emotions out of this.
Listen,
Take your
I don't have
emotions
any
out of
emotions
this.
in this.
I think
I was,
what I'm getting.
see, my roommate asked me the other day, like, why did I not vote? And I said it straight. I said this would be like me running. I'm still using this phrase. It would be like me running against boats. There was no chance to win from the start. I'm just going to exhaust myself and look stupid at the end.
Please don't misunderstand what I'm doing. I'm just reading the result. I'm just reading it. And I'm not, it's not that I'm flip-flopping or no, I'm not.
A win is not always the will of God. I don't think so.
I mean, that's religious stuff.
I don't need to bring God into man's affairs. Man created this form of politics. I don't need to do that, right? I'm able to separate these two things. I think that's where we are both having difficulty in communicating. It's because you strongly believe that it's the will of God that has happened, right? And I respect that. I
Will of
understand.
God will always happen. Will of God will always override our will.
Yes, I get that.
No matter what. Because when the children of Israelites were in the wilderness, when they were 40, when they went through that 40 years of slavery in Egypt, will you say it's the will of God?
Okay, let me
No,
pose
Jesse.
you
know why? I'm very glad that you're bringing up Bible topics, because that 40 years was supposed to be a 40-day journey, but they traveled 40 years because
who messed up?
The Israelites, they traveled 40 years because of their unbelief and disobedience.
So
it was not God's will for them. It was their choice.
Was the will of God still there? Wait,
exactly. That's
Jesus,
my point.
Jesus had to fulfill every form of prophecy. What are you talking about?
That is Jesus. We're not Jesus.
It's all part of. It's all woven in.
I think this is exactly where we are struggling to agree.
No, you guys bring it up.
Let me say this,
Jesse.
Yeah.
When you look
the first time when a king
always supersede man's will. That's it.
Let me ask you a question.
The first time when a king was chosen for Israel, right? The Bible said the children of God cried unto God that they wanted a king, even though it was not God's will for them to have a king. But what did he do? He gave them unto their own desires.
Exactly. That is my point.
Understand the scriptures. God can give you to your own desires. It is not his will.
Right now.
Wait,
it doesn't have to be his
the
will.
Lord has given man to his desires. The Bible says he will above all things that you prosper. But when you don't prosper, sometimes it's not his will. Your own desires have prevailed over you.
Exactly.
He said
that
to
is
man,
my point.
Choose this fruit. And man chose the fruit. He said, the day you choose of this, you shall die. Your desires prevailed over you.
Bible says, I give you life and death. Choose life
and
that
death.
you may live.
Choose
you have
that you may live.
You have the power to choose. And these people have chosen. Doesn't make it right. There's no amount of spirituality that you can use to justify this. That is my point. This can exist.
Even the spirituality justifies it. That our choice is what we choose. God will not. He told man this, that I will not wrestle with man anymore. This is what he said after he created man. Because man is always going to fall to his own will, to your own desires. So this is man's desire, thinking that this guy is better because he looks like me. This guy is better because this is actually what I will do.
Places I can take this to, but just for the sake of where we're at, I'll just pull it back. Ultimately, God's will always prevail. And
at the end of the day, yes.
Yeah, so that's it.
Right now,
that's all. No matter what you choose, at the end of the day,
Jesse.
When Adam and Eve ate the apple,
his grace
was
will
that
prevail,
provision?
not his will.
Wait,
his grace.
When they ate the apple, when they
grace
ate the apple,
to play.
What
grace came in, not his will.
Let me tell you, God's will always prevail, no matter where you go to, No, because
Jesse,
what? We're still
Jesse, you're
limited
misunderstanding
in this life. What?
I love
You're
it.
misunderstanding
That's why I
grace.
don't want to go
Grace
there.
for will.
Because look, I don't want to go there. That's why I'm like saying this is God's will always prevail, no matter what
His
you do.
grace, God's
No
grace
matter
will
what
prevail.
you choose, no matter
God's
where
grace will
how
come
far
into
you
play
go
because
to.
he loves man, but not his will.
What?
That is why we pray this prayer. He said, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Because not every time is it being done. His will is not being done all the time. That is why we keep praying it. His grace comes to play when man does stupid shit.
See,
God's grace comes.
God's
When we
grace,
ate the fruit, he sent his own son. He
at the
brings
end
grace
of the
to
day,
help us.
see, at the end of the day, you know, heaven and earth will pass away. His words will still remain. So no matter what we choose, no matter how far we go, his will will still be done. So that's it. It will always override us because we living here, we're limited with time. He is not in time. He entered once upon a time.
We have gone from Trump to God. Look at this crazy conversation.
To bring it. You brought it up, and that's what I'm saying. No matter what you want to tell me, like, yeah.
This is where the issue prevails,
fulfillment
right?
of all prophecies, everything that happened before he walked the earth. All that was in play.
You see a
You
Trump
say
win.
that before they had the apple,
Jesse, listen.
he wasn't aware there was already a contingency plan already made.
You see a Trump win as the will of God. We see it as listen. I see a Trump win as the mistake of people that don't have enough information or are ignorant. This can coexist in the same space because, like Emeka said, I don't know. It all depends on your ideology of how far you want to believe. The way I look at it, ultimately the will of God will be done. But
that's it.
Ultimately, yes. The will of God is that man will be born, man will live, and man will die, and the man will be judged. That is the will of God. But
no, that's not God. That was not the will of God. That was the contingency.
So, yeah, that was
God created man to live like him.
That became the contingency became the will now because we exist in it now. So it has happened.
Exactly. Man was not born to die. Man ate the apple, and then that's when death came in, and he had to deal with the sin.
Okay, please wait. Let Jesse finish because he's contradicting himself now.
You are contradicting your own self, Jesse. Please finish.
Jesse is contradicting himself. He said, "In everything, the will of God will prevail."
Yeah,
and you just said it. God created man to live like him.
Yeah,
but man made a fault. Man made a fault. So what happened? It was not God's will anymore. God's grace came into play.
See, if
grace and will are two different things, Jesse.
Look,
you were born a free man. If you steal right now and commit a crime,
chill.
The judge puts you away, right?
Chill. I'm talking. Chill.
Okay.
So you said I contradicted myself. Like, yes. God gave us free will. God gave us free will. If he didn't give us free will, then we'll be robots. And that's not what he was trying to create. He created us and gave us free will. We can choose whatever we want, but ultimately, he is the creator of everything. Everything is going to get back to him. And he created provisions for everything. Because he knew us before we walked the earth. So what I'm saying, the contradiction is when man ate the apple and sin came to play, he's a righteous and a just God, and he had to deal with that. And what's the consequence?
May I ask the question, Jesse?
Chill. Emeka,
may I ask this question?
Wait, chill. What's the consequences of sin?
Death.
Okay, so how was he going to deal with that? By just saying sorry to him and then he forgives it? What does he do? What is he going to do with that sin? What is he supposed to do with that sin? That the consequences of sin is death, and since a soul that's sinned must die. So what was he supposed to do with that sin that just happened?
You tell me. I don't know. Jesse, I guess this is the question. Was it his will for us to sin? Since he
no, but you understand, right? So he had to deal with that sin, and that's why he had to come in and die for it. Now the
So
consequences.
what you're saying right now is that
so what's the contradiction there?
No, that's contradictory, Jesse.
What's
You
contradiction?
can't
God gave
exist
us
in
a
both
free
spheres at the
will.
same time.
God gave us a free will, but at the end of the day, His
what is free
will on
will?
earth is going to still be done.
Yes, we agree with that.
Nobody can
We
stop
agree
that.
with that.
So
But
don't say that I'm contradicting myself. But yeah,
the space is in between where man deviates away from it, like we did in the Garden of Eden. Yeah, like when Cain killed who? Abel. So why did God send the flood then to wash the earth clean, and then promise that He's not going to do that again? These are all things that happen because man has free will, and then he veered so far
man
away
does
from the will
wrong
of God.
all the time,
you guys are
and we
thinking
go away from the will of God.
we don't have
But
free
God
will. You
says
guys are
grace.
really
He keeps giving grace. He said His
very
grace
critical
is
point.
sufficient.
You
right?
are really misunderstanding a critical point. And we are born with a free will to choose. We're all born with it. But God's will
Exactly.
will always override our will. That's it.
We don't doubt that.
So what
That's
are you
not
saying?
what we're
Yeah,
doubting.
so what's the
But
contradiction
what we
there?
are doubting is
If
you
you don't have a
saying,
free will,
you saying that
if you don't have a free will,
everything that happens on the world is the will of God. That's
See,
what I'm doubting you with.
That's where I have a
Everything that
problem
happens
with.
on earth is not God's
that's
will.
what you are saying. That's what you are saying.
That's what you said, Jesse.
You guys
Actually,
have misunderstood. That's why I keep saying you guys are misunderstanding me. I said everything at the end of the day is God's will be done on earth. No matter what, no matter what we choose, at the end of it all, His will still prevail or override our will. If we choose the wrong thing, at the end of it all, His will still override us, because what? Heaven and earth will pass away. His words will still remain. That's it.
That's what I'm telling you, Jesse.
So I don't understand
This is what I'm saying.
there.
Okay, this is what you said.
We are all born. No, let me make this very clear. We're all born with a free will. If not, we'll be robots. And that's not what He created man for. Yeah, we're all
And that's
born
what
with
I'm trying to
free will.
tell you.
Yeah, I don't know
What
what
I'm
you mean.
saying
You're
is
trying to
this.
tell me. I know
There's
that. That's what I'm saying. You're misunderstanding me.
between a
I
will.
don't misrepresent me. I'm saying it this way. We're all born with a free will. But at the end of the day, God's will always prevail over whatever it is that we choose. That's why we always have to align our will with His. That's when we have life. That's when we stay on truth.
Let's get back on topic. Let me ask you a question.
Don't go there and don't misrepresent me. I say I'm contradicting myself.
Is it the will of God that Trump won the election? Let's keep it simple.
At the end of the day, God's will be done. You know,
it's a yes or no question, Jesse.
That's the ultimate end of the whole thing.
Jesse,
right now, in this point of contact,
if it's not His will, nothing will happen.
Let me answer the question. I don't know if it's the will of God. All I know is that a lot of misinformed people voted this man in. I can't speak for God. I have no idea if it's the will of God. But at the end of the day, the will of God will be done.
This is what I'll say. It doesn't matter who is president, he's still king. That's it. And that's what I mean.
It does matter who is president.
You guys are trying to push me into a corner that's not what I'm saying.
No, we're not trying to push you into anything.
No, that's not what I'm saying. And don't push me into that thing. I'm very clear on what I said. I know, and that's why I don't want you guys to bring it up. You guys brought it up. Don't misrepresent me and don't misunderstand what I'm trying to say. At the end of the day, God's will be done. That's what I want you to understand. That's why
the question right now is, we're not talking about the end of the day.
Please don't represent me.
I answered the question
don't
for you.
Misrepresent me. That's all I'm saying.
Trying to misrepresent you.
No, that's what you guys have not painted a narrative about me anymore.
Calm down. It's not personal. It's a simple question. I told you how I will answer. I'm like, I don't think I can't speak for God. It's not. I have no idea.
I'm not speaking for God either.
No, I'm not saying you're speaking for God. It's not about you.
You know, Jesse said he had no emotions in this, right?
No,
this doesn't sound like a guy without emotions.
You wanted my opinion. No. Because you wanted my opinion, and you guys brought this other aspect. And I've told you guys, back up from it. But when I start hearing you guys misrepresent me and say I'm contradicting myself, that's why I have to stand up to
misrepresent? Why do you keep saying that like anybody's trying to misrepresent? Nobody's trying to. Who said Jesse says this? No. We're trying to get clarity.
Well, you play back, you see it. You ain't play back, you see it.
Listen, you are the one that made the comment about saying this is the will of God. Well, yeah, you are the one that made the comment, Jesse. You made the comment. Right?
No, but what did I say about that? I said what? Ultimately, God's will override what? Yes. A will.
What?
So what are you trying to say?
The question we're asking right now, we're not talking about the end of the day. We're talking about this choice that was made today. This right now. And I can boldly tell you,
what was my answer?
Right now, this is man's choice.
I hear that. Okay, I hear that. What did I say when you said that? What did I say? Let me see. When I'm telling you about misrepresentation.
God gave man a will. That's why we wouldn't be robots. Then you come here and say at the end of the day, God's will prevail. Then you are telling me that man is typically a robot at the end of the day because he doesn't have a own will.
See? So wouldn't that be, and that's you really representing what I said, right?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's why I don't want to keep going on because we're going in full circles right now. And that's why I keep saying, do not misrepresent me. Now you see the reason why I'm saying do not misrepresent me? Do you see that? Because you are trying to define a position and put me in a position that I didn't want to go to. I'm saying God's will ultimately be done.
We are not. Look, at the end of the day.
No, I don't know. That's the reason. But I don't want to, and that's why I don't want to sound that way.
Let's drop the God issue.
Exactly.
We're all trying to get clarity from all of this, right?
Yes.
The reason why anybody poked deeper into what Jesse was saying was because I honestly think that some people believe that whatever it is that happens on earth is the will of God, and I respect that. That is, I mean, obviously, it's not my place. I don't know what the will of God is. But I do know that at the end of the day, like Jesse said, look, hold on, Emeka. I do know that, like Jesse said, at the end of the day, the will of God will be done. But we can't speak for the moment and to say whether this is the will of God or not. We don't know. We don't know for a fact. We don't know for sure. And I understand that. But the bottom line is that we're just simply trying to get some kind of understanding as to what happened. And we already have given you all of these reasons. I've told you about the racial aspect. I've told you about the sexual aspect. I've told you about all of this other stuff. And I think there's nothing more that can be said beyond that, with that point, because every statistic that has been out there has told us that Fox News listeners or viewers who end up being Trump voters are the most misinformed people in the world, not in the country, in the world. Not underinformed, misinformed. So when you understand that, it becomes easier for you to come to Emeka's conclusion. And I understand that, I respect that. But at the same time, we all understand the spiritual aspect of the universe and how it operates. And we know that eventually...
You see, all these tangents, we went on a tangent because you made a comment saying that Jesse believes that God's will be done. And I was like, yeah, ultimately, God's will always prevail. That's what I was saying. And then that's where everybody started making comments and trying to represent what I'm saying. And that's why I keep saying, if I ask you back, what did I say? Nobody's going to give me back exactly what happened and how we got here. I know exactly how we got here. I know exactly how we started talking this way.
I'll tell you how we got here. Because you kept going on and on about misrepresenting you. And I'm trying to offer clarity as to, I said this numerous times. I'm like, at the end of the day, all of us believe that God's will be done. But I asked you a rhetorical question. I'm like, do you think this is God's will? And you kept going on about misrepresentation.
No, that's not how it started. It started by saying, you know that Jesse believes that God's will. And I was like, yeah. And I told you, ultimately it will be done. God's will always override us. And you guys wanted more clarity on that. And I was like, okay, this is the explanation of how I believe. This is the foundation of how I believe things are being run. No matter what it is that we're seeing, we might not have the full explanation now, but at the end of the day, this is what is going to happen. You know, we
So
might
this
not
is what
see the full story.
I'm trying
We
to come
cannot.
across, Jesse.
Yeah.
You say in the end of the day, right? There is an end of the day. There is a now, and there is an in between. And the end of the day, his will be done. But right now,
So what are we
whose
talking
will
about?
is happening right now?
That's what
That
we're
is
talking
just the
about
question
right
we're
now.
asking.
That's what
Whose
we're talking
will
about
is
right
going
now.
is prevailing right now? Let me
That's-
even break
that's
it down.
all we ask.
I walk out this door. I walk out this door to my neighbor's house and I break into his car. Whose will happened right
This
then?
thing is
My
growing
will.
trees, and this you see, this is the reason why I'm saying the clarity. So what have you put like right now? What do you think? My opinion is.
What I said
I
right
believe
now,
that
man
in my
made
own
a
opinion,
choice.
everything that is happening at this point, whether good or bad, is God's will, right?
No, man's
no.
choice. That's what I'm telling
This
you.
is exactly
Man
what I'm
chose
trying
right
to
now.
make sure that you understand exactly where I'm. Didn't I explain everything that I thought about the election? Didn't I explain every other stuff, that the misrepresentation that has happened, the misinformation that is going on? Didn't I explain those aspects of it? So you're asking me about now. I'm telling you, I'm looking at the result and I'm giving you the feedback and what I'm seeing and what is going on. And you brought this other aspect of it. So at this point, I don't know what you think. I know how you've already painted the picture, but you know, like, I don't know. What do you think? Whose will is going on right now? Man's will, right? And God is not part of it, right? That's what you think?
If I'm going to believe
I
what you just
said
told me,
directly. So at this point,
yes,
this time that will
man's
happen,
will is taking place right now.
man's will is happening, and God is not part of it. God
Yes,
went to sleep at this point.
God can step in and
yes,
correct it.
Yeah,
Like
God
he has
went to
corrected
sleep
other
at this
things.
point.
yes, Jesse.
Okay, that's it. I mean, that's your opinion. That's good. Hold on to it.
But that's exactly what we're talking about. That you say we're trying to misrepresent you. I'm trying to look for clarity. I told you where I stand. The maker told you where I stand, and I understand that this is I don't believe that. Like I told you this every time. I don't believe. Look at the transformation Saul had to go through.
Oh God, may I use this to actually like put more light for myself? We're talking about the Garden of Eden, right? Where man committed the first sin. When Eve took that fruit and was about to eat it, was God's will for her to eat it? No. He knew the consequences of it, but he let her do what she wanted to do. So at some point in time, God will keep quiet for man to do what he wants to do. And he will fix us at the end. But at that moment, you do your choice.
But that is the power of free will, right?
Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Because if you're telling me that in everything we're doing, he's touching it, then it means that we actually not doing anything.
I guess this is where we disagree.
Well, maybe this is where we go get more knowledge from wherever we get our source of knowledge.
I mean, this is why I kept trying to say, look, it all leads back to the Trump issue. And I was simply looking for clarity. I'm like, do you truly believe that this is God's will for this man to be elected or not? And it could have been a simple yes or no. Nobody had to go down this route of trying to justify, go back to the Garden of Eden or whatever. So it doesn't matter. The bottom line is we have a new president, and whether we like it or not, it is what it is. Now, how do you move forward? How do you do the things that you need to do without having to be hindered by these factors? How much changes are going to occur over the next 4 years? Are we going to get 2 new conservative Supreme Court judges that would cement the conservative hold over the next 20 plus years in the country? These are valid questions that we need to answer. What kind of freedom of expression would you have?
The only man who actually has that answer is the guy who we just voted in. Because regardless of what we plan to do, he's going to come up with a choice. I can tell you from a country that we all came from, The man came into office. They asked him, "What are you gonna do in your first day?" "I'm gonna hit the ground running." And what happened? First day in office, the price of fuel went from 100 to 750. So, whatever this country is going to experience for the next 4 years, January 20th will tell us. Because whatever we're thinking now, we already hear how he talks. We already see how he does. We're just at the mercy of Trump. Because if you say that we can live our day-to-day lives, brother, I think we're lying to ourselves. Go ask Nigerians. Their day-to-day life changed the day Tinubu got in. So that's what I'm going to promise America. Our day-to-day lives will change the moment Trump gets back in office. Maybe for the good, maybe for worse, but it's not going to be the same.
All right, Jesse, let's hear your take on what you think, and then we'll round it up. It's already 2 hours in.
I've thought about it. So, but yeah, I mean, we're in the 2 hour mark. But, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, the sun still rises and sets. So we have to just push and find our way and find exactly what our purpose is. That's my own prayer, and find the opportunities that's around us. So that's what I'm being hopeful. You know, that's the only thing I got at this point. So I just gotta stay positive and stay optimistic. So yeah. So that's, I don't know. Can you
guys.
hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. Well, the 2 hour mark, guys. We better call it a night. It's almost midnight.
Yeah. All right, man. Good night.
All right.
Good
nice
night,
seeing you
guys.
guys as usual.
See ya.
Safe.